Hey, you're on.
Hi, it's Cindy and Trish again.
Hello.
Day 3.
Yep,
Yeah, and here we are.
we are talking about the contract today. So previous sessions, we talked about the purchasing pathway, all the steps, talked about getting your pre-qualification letter, and you did that. You're ready to shop, and now you found the perfect home, and you're ready to put in an offer on that perfect home. So the contract is actually 11, 12 pages. Today we're just gonna go over page 1 and 2. It starts out using your legal names that you and someone else or whoever,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. Purchasing, you put your names on there. It gives a legal description of the property that you're purchasing, the address and where it's listed in the county courthouse and all that. It goes into what is included. There's a whole paragraph here of what is included, items that are attached to the wall stay, curtain stay, garage door openers.
That's another weird one because it's not really attached, but it's kind of the same thing with the key.
It
you know?
belongs to the house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Security systems, if they have a security system. Now, they can also put in their listing agreement if they're gonna take their security system, their Ring doorbell, or they wanna take their curtains with them, they can exclude that. But if they don't exclude it and it's listed in this paragraph, it's yours. Other items that would remain, if you want to, a lot of times people wanna take their refrigerator with them when they move. I find it very strange, but.
But a refrigerator is personal property, so that's why we have to write it in there.
I'm more attached to my oven than my refrigerator.
I'm not attached to my refrigerator at
Anyhow,
all.
if you want the refrigerator, we can ask for the refrigerator. It doesn't mean you'll get it, but we can write it in and ask for it. Items that you don't want to remain, I always put in there, take all your personal items with you. Maybe there's a play set in the backyard that you don't want, they take that with them. We recently looked at a house that had a hot tub. People didn't want it. I'm like, well, we'll write it in the in the offer. Take your hot tub with you. And then there's leased items. And so an example of a leased item might be a propane tank. If you want to have lease from your own company rather than carry over their leased item.
So there's an area there where you can actually check and say, I don't want your lease.
I don't want to, I'm going to start fresh with my own. Then the next section 2, is your purchase price and your method of payment. So we're going to write in there what you're offering on there, and we go into the loan process. What percentage of a loan are you going to be asking for?
Right.
We need to know that. Like, if
Yeah.
you putting, like, if you're spending $100,000 and you put $20,000 down, then you're gonna get an 80% loan. So that's kind of, you need to know, and that should be on your pre-qual letter. What percentage, you need to know what type of loan you're getting. Is it a conventional loan? Is it a VA loan, an FHA loan?
And you know what? The lender, which, we've had a couple lender videos, and we're going to have another lender video coming in to really get into this. But your lender is going to tell you what kind of loan he's going to go, well, you or she. You can get this loan, you can get this loan. Do you want an FHA loan? Do you want a VA loan, a conventional? There's all sorts of loans out
Right.
there and programs. So by the time you get to us, you're going to know this.
Yes. And then if you're one of the lucky ones, there's a place where you can put cash if you're paying cash for your
Yeah,
house.
that'd be really nice.
That is nice. But in that, so once you get through this whole thing and your offer is accepted, there are timelines and
A lot of
cutoffs
timelines.
and
Yep.
and that. So I'm gonna look at it because you have 3 days after your binding agreement to make application for your loan. Just because you're pre-qualified doesn't mean you made an application. A lot of times you have, but you just need to get with your lender and say, I want to proceed and go forward with this loan. So you have 3 days from the binding date. And
Let's talk about the binding date.
Right. If we go under contract today, tomorrow starts day 1. So if everybody signs all the paperwork today and it's bound, tomorrow would be day 1.
But binding means there is a page on the very last part of the contract, And so let's say the buyer writes the offer, and there's no counters. We're gonna go with there's no counters, so it's all gonna be on this piece of paper. We accept the offer. The seller accepts the offer. It's not bound. Just because the sellers have signed off and the buyers have signed off, now we have the last person that touched the agreement. In this case, if the buyer wrote the offer, the seller signs off, the seller has to give it back to the buyer's agent so they can look at it and go, okay, I accept it, and they bind, and there's actually, it's acknowledgement of receipt. They are gonna sign off there, they're gonna put the date there, the date and the time. That is the date of the binding agreement. So the other important part about the binding agreement date is that we don't start counting off days until after the binding agreement date. So if this goes and we get it and we hold on to it and we don't get it back to the other side to bind, there's no timeline yet. The timeline starts at the point of binding. So that's really important, but that's going to be the realtors taking care of that part. But we just wanted you to understand it.
That's right. And then another requirement, within 14 days after the binding agreement date, the buyer shall have proof of hazard insurance. They need to, they don't necessarily have to put insurance on it at that moment, but they have to have insurance set up so that at closing that takes effect. So you have that. Let's see. You have to request an appraisal.
And pay for it.
And pay for it.
Within 14 days. And a lot of people don't realize that. So that's a big one right there. And then the other thing within 14 days is that the buyer has to give their intent to go forward to the lender. So, I mean, the timeline's huge.
The timelines are huge because if you miss the timeline and the seller starts getting cold feet or whatever.
Well, here's another part of that is, let's say you have, this is your contingency. This is your first contingency is your loan letter, okay? So you're pre-qualified. That doesn't mean you have the house. It doesn't mean that at all. It means you're pre-qualified. Everything looks good on paper. Do not go out and buy a truck.
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Do not go out and buy new furniture.
No.
Don't change jobs.
No.
Don't get married.
No. I mean, you can get married, just not
afterwards.
Yeah, after.
Don't do anything until you have gone to the closing table and you got
Yes.
those keys in your hands.
Yes.
Yeah, because it changes everything.
Everything. So this is your first contingency. And if all of a sudden the loan falls through, well,
Can't buy a house.
Well, you can't buy a house.
Can't buy a house if you don't have the loan.
But you're not going to get your earnest money back either. Well, no. Here's the thing. This is your first contingency that's going to get you your earnest money back. However, this is where the loan obligations come in. Did you apply for that loan in 3 days? Did you secure hazard insurance in 14 days? Did you apply for your appraisal and pay for it within 14 days? If you haven't done any of these items in 14 days after the binding agreement date, you're in default. And so even if the property gets longer and longer, and all of a sudden they're saying, well, we didn't get the loan, that's a contingency. So I get my earnest money back as long as you follow the rules.
Right, and that's what we're here to make sure you are. We're here to keep you on track
and give you the dates.
Get all those dates in order and keep you, let you know what you need to be doing and when you need to have it done by.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty simple. It really is.
It's simple.
Oh,
easy peasy.
And once again, that's why we're here, because
right.
it's so simple.
Yeah.
But I guess the last thing would be the financial contingency if you're waiving it. And the only reason you would waive your financial contingency is if you have cash.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have cash, you have to have a letter proving that you have cash. Where is the money? what
Proof of funds.
proof of funds. That's
Yep,
exactly
proof of
right.
funds.
So
Prove it.
yeah, we got to know, because if we don't have that, the other side is going to go, you're writing me an offer and you can't prove that you can buy the house. So
Cash. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So,
yay!
next one we'll continue with contingency number 2.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.